What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Room.
Welcome to Couch in the Rue, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring all of us to do better, look better, feel better, hit the transfer portal in a better state of mind, maybe taunt a little better after a college basketball game, or not go 0-62. 162, I should say. Like it looks like the Tigers might. Cockburn. And our Sunday night show, also presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. Visit gomuskox.com for your flannel offerings today, their latest spring offerings, including their new release, the Muskox Cutoff. Who needs sleeves anyway? Guaranteed toughness, buttery soft, built like a tank, and made with 100% heavyweight cotton. Feel the freedom and let it rip, brother. Visit gomuskox.com for your Cutoff Muskox flannel. Jason, how you doing, brother?
What's going on, buddy? How are you? It's been a long weekend.
You don't sound great.
Yeah, I look great, though. That's the most important part. It's been a long weekend. A lot of house projects.
It's the worst.
It makes you feel good after the fact, but still looking at the rooms that we have at our house and tearing stuff apart and going like, oh, shit, we still have a lot more to go. And by the way, Home Depot. I was at Home Depot today. Now, if you watch the news, you see that many people are stealing shit from Home Depot and walking out without saying a word. So here I am carrying some stuff out, and I have my receipt. And I hold it up to the lady just to let her know as I'm pushing the cart out, I have my receipt. And she looks at me like, yeah, whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute. Can't you just at least give me some credit and thank me as a consumer for actually showing my receipt and not stealing a bunch of shit?
Are you going to test the theory next time without the receipt?
No, I can't do it. I don't have bad karma and all that stuff, and I don't drink anymore, so I don't steal shit anymore. And I'm just saying, but all these people just walk right in, put stuff on a cart, and go right out and steal, and I'm just trying to show my receipt. Anyway.
This leads to a load of questions. When you did drink, how often did you steal?
From Home Depot? Never.
Where did you steal from?
What are you, the FBI? What is this shit? There's a statute of limitations here.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble. The statute of limitations is in effect. This is a safe space.
Yeah, it's a safe space that's public. I can't talk about places it's nothing crazy, you know? I didn't steal like a $500 grill or something like that.
Okay.
Or, that's what I would steal if I would from Home Depot. I would steal a grill. But, really, there's no way ever I could just walk in and just openly steal some shit like that. But
no, I
showed my receipt. That's all I'm saying. Just give me a little acknowledgement like Big Gretch. I don't have a child in this world. I should at least get a tax break on that. I show my fucking receipt. You should at least go, you know what? Thank you, sir. Thank you for showing me your receipt. Not like, whatever.
Sometimes if I let the silence go awkward long enough, you'll just tell the story that embarrasses you anyway. And so that's what I was
you
trying
do it
to
all
do
the
there.
time.
Yeah.
So I hate dead air. So I feel like I got to just keep fucking talking because you have a attention span like a squirrel. So you're like looking somewhere else. And I'm like, shit, is this story boring? It probably is. But,
It's like my wife when I start telling a story. She starts looking away and I lose confidence. And then I come in here and try and tell a story and I have no confidence.
It's fair.
You know?
Anyway.
It is what it is. So right after the show ended Friday, and this tends to happen to us, although the show wasn't hindered by it in any way. I still think Friday's episode was good. But Hunter Dickinson hits the transfer portal.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
And Michigan State hires a women's basketball coach, and Robin Freilich, who's a local kid. I grew up with her at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. Knew her as a 5-year-old. Not that.
What did you learn?
What's that?
What did you learn for knowing her as a 5-year-old? Though?
Well, nothing. I knew she was a good. I remember.
Or is that just you humble bragging or something?
Yeah, I don't even know what that means. It's not a humble just because you know somebody when they're 5. You know, she didn't remember me as an 8-year-old, so it didn't really matter that I remembered her as a 5-year-old. Yeah. She may have sort of remembered me, but it not here nor there. We'll fix that part in post. But we're gonna dig into all of that as we always do with our hot takes and yours Jason, do you want to go first?
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be Catlin Clark, because I feel that today's game actually kind of ruined the weekend for women's basketball, and what happened with the face. I don't even know what that shit talking is, where you put your hand over your face. I mean, is that I am him or her or something? I don't know.
They can't see me. I don't know what it is.
I don't know
but
we talk about all the disrespect. Dawn Staley and LSU, they said that we were ghetto. They said that we were monsters. I'm like, where are they saying this? Please show me. Like, do I need to start following more of the Klan on Twitter or something? Because I don't see any of this stuff. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but are we talking anyone out there other than that has like 3 followers that is saying some crazy shit that doesn't have their real name attached to it? I thought Catlin Clark's game on Saturday against who did they play?
They played South Carolina.
South Carolina. Now they let them. They did the Draymond.
You know what you would have
Green.
done to me there is I would have just like I would have been like
I let you in right there.
Yeah, Providence. I don't know. So,
but anyway, it was I loved the game Saturday. I'm like, because I don't want to root against women's sports or women's basketball, but if you get a player like Catlin Clark, and I don't know, is Sue Bird, was she a better player than Catlin Clark? But Catlin Clark, I feel like, had more odds stacked against her with that Iowa team, and hopefully for next year they can get her some other ladies around her that can help her grab a fucking rebound once or twice. And by the way, college refs, women's college refs. Now, Saturday, I thought they called the game correctly. They called it both ways a little bit sometimes, but better than what they did today. That was ridiculous. But I don't even know what my take is, but I just enjoyed the women's game, and it just seems after the game today, it was all just washed away by this bullshit that I'm going to wake up and see it on Get Up and First Take and all these take shows. When nothing, I just feel like a lot of people make this shit up like there's some race issue.
Okay.
Drives me nuts.
I'm going to drive in. This was not going to be my first take, but it was going to be one of my takes. And per usual, I like to say the order here, even though it is irrelevant, and that's why I'm bad at this.
Peacock?
First of all, it is great for women's basketball how engaged people were this weekend. I'll begin there. It is unbelievable how, the fact that people are emotionally attached and are upset and are rooting for people and care who wins and loses, and they were far more engaged in a lot of ways in the women's Final Four and the women's championship than they have been in the men's. And Catlin Clark's a big part of that, and you can have character. We've had characters in athletics forever that are villains and that are the people you root for, and that's all good, and I think some of that is needed, and the fact that, people are going to get overly sensitive about reactions to women's athletics, that we're just going to have to get to that place if we're going to treat it completely equal, because that stuff's been going on in the men's game forever. However, the reactions on Twitter, to your point today, to what Angel Reese did with Catlin Clark, sort of following around the court and doing and sort of taunting her a little bit after the game.
To her finger for the ring, which is fine.
Yeah. It was not, look, there were reactions. I will say this. If you were offended by that or you didn't like it, it does not mean you are a racist. It does not mean, or it does not mean you even had race on the mind at all. It is absolutely fair to think, God, that shit sportsmanship. That's more than what Catlin Clark did. But
you say that, but is it reality?
The intensity of a lot of the reactions, I believe, have a lot to do with race. I don't believe that the intensity of that's horrible sportsmanship is the same if it wasn't an in-your-face black woman doing it. Now, Maxine Reese, she used to play at Michigan State.
Remember Maxine Reese?
Angel Reese. She is naive. She is young. She is a college kid. She's a cocky competitor. So be it. She was taunting somebody who is better than her in a lot of ways. She is taunting the best player in the tournament. Like, if I were Catlin Clark, and Catlin Clark showed some class there, and in defeat, there's not a whole lot you can say back. I would have felt, this is why I'm not that mature enough, I would have said, look, I'm better than you, so shut the fuck up. You had a better team than me, so just shut the fuck up. That would have been my saying. That's why I can't be in those situations. At least you're honest. There are a couple things at play. Kim Mulkey here is the LSU coach. She is perpetually unlikable, and that is part of this too. So she creates a program that is so you get a brash young woman who, because she's a black woman, there is more of a visceral reaction to her. and her antics. Now, are her antics over the top? Sometimes, no doubt. But we get outraged by it, I believe, because she is a in-your-face black woman than we would if it was an in-your-face white woman. And you can disagree with me, but I think overall that is the tone on Twitter. It is different because of who she is. Now, that does not mean I think she is a great vessel for, I mean, like lots of people are flawed. In totally different issue. But like Colin Kaepernick, when all that was happening, he was not the ideal vessel for all that happened because he had some hypocrisy on certain things. He had some facts wrong on certain things. And then he was a quarterback that was flawed, that I could see why it didn't fit every system. Now, that doesn't mean he shouldn't have got a shot in the league for a long time. But not everybody is you can disagree with the way Angel Reese behaved and still think it's not that big a deal. You can, but I just think if she was not a black woman, the response on social media and the initial, I mean, it was there, and it was there from people I follow and some people I respect, and maybe in a lot of cases, I'm not saying everybody is seeing it from a point of view of there's racial bias in everybody's point of view, because it was different than what Catlin Clark did. It was really after a game that you ought to be celebrating, but that's who Angel Reese is. I mean, and that can be annoying and a pesky competitor, and you don't have to love it. But the intensity of the people who were offended, when Catlin Clark herself did not seem offended at all, was something that I thought, it jumped off the page at me, put it that way. And it was just noticeable. There's just no way it's that intense about the outrage if it's a reverse situation, in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you, if it was Catlin Clark, let's say Iowa won, and she was doing the pointing her finger, I think people would still say that's just kind of low class for how great of a weekend Catlin Clark had, right? Or are we saying no, there's absolutely no shot?
No, there would have been people saying, that's a little tacky.
Right.
It would not have been quite the horrible sportsmanship. Just the loudness of the outrage is what I'm talking about here. And that's the stuff that, like, you can think the same thing, but the loudness of your outrage speaks to natural biases. And we have to check ourselves. We all have them. We all have these biases.
What about Kim Mulkey? What do you think of when you turn on the TV and see her with this bright-ass suit on? I still wonder. And her, can I see the manager haircut?
I still wonder. I mean, she's obviously a great coach, and she's obviously not the worst person in the world because kids keep playing for her. But when I see her, I still picture that moment where she's like twinging with her mask during COVID, and I picture all this sort of look at me, she's just not an appealing person to me at all.
Touching the ref, flopping around. But if you don't know who she is, though, you still have preconceived notions.
Absolutely.
And I think that's okay as a human being to look at her and go, man, that lady looks like she could be annoying.
And here's the problem with Twitter is we speak immediately, and it's okay to, I mean, we all have biases about everything, and it's good to get them in check. And it's okay, and I don't believe you should have to be silent if you feel what Angel Reese did was over the top, and it bugs you. And
but sometimes you have to be silent because you don't want to be called a racist or lumped in with racist shit.
You just gotta phrase it in your tone. And you just don't be so loud and so immediate.
Well, how do you do it then? You know, the ladies, the LSU women played absolutely, but you know what? That Angel Reese was absolutely.
Just say something like,
you have to preface it with something.
Let's say, love Angel Reese's game. She didn't. That was unnecessary at the end. She'd spoken loud enough with her play. If you say that
doesn't get likes, bro.
Well, but I'm saying it comes across different. It's okay. That's anyway. We that was my
All right.
I just
don't know why we have to turn everything into a racist conversation.
Because sometimes race is at play. Not everything. And not everyone who feels that way.
When everything is turned into racist kind of things, it kind of gets old after a while.
That's fair, but that's where we are as a society.
That's where you are. I'm not there. I don't see these things that the players said. Like I said, Dawn Staley and LSU said that people were calling them ghetto and all this other stuff. I haven't seen it, but I don't follow people that would do some shit like that probably.
Well, yeah, and I do think, you and I have a very different experience than Dawn Staley's experience.
Absolutely. I'm not, you don't have to bring out receipts, but I would like someone to actually show me when things were said of that nature is all I'm saying. I'm not saying she's a complete liar. Just, when I don't see these things, I follow sports very, very closely and pay attention to a lot of stuff. So,
look, and we all have our own biases. I love Catlin Clark's game. I think she is a spitting image of Steph Curry in a lot of ways, right? As she is fun to watch, her acceleration on the hesitation stuff, the shot, all that stuff.
And maybe she talks a lot of shit.
She does talk a lot of shit, and I respect her for it. I love shit talking. That's part of my thing here, is I love shit talking. I love tearing people down. I think mental warfare is an incredibly important part of the game. I think not guarding people who can't shoot is the best thing you can do. I also think triple covering somebody when they're your only really great player is the thing you do. But I also felt the other night, more so watching the South Carolina game, and this is my own shit that I deal with and know, but I felt like I was watching Texas Western versus Kentucky, and I was rooting for Kentucky in 1965. I just had this weird, that's my own premonition. That's my own shit. Whatever. We all have our own shit. I'm just saying that's where my head goes to. And that's I recognize these biases, and I recognize that not everybody who felt the way they did after today's game is feeling that way because of race. And so I'm not calling you out if that's not the way you feel, but I'm just there was enough loudness and immediacy and venom behind the anti-Angel Reese that there was just a twinge of it, and you definitely
Can you name names? Who are we talking about?
I don't want to do that here because I don't know individually. There's enough of it collectively to know some of it is. I don't know exactly how each person feels, and so it's not fair to say that. I mean, there are some people I really respect in a lot of other ways in life that might not have had that feeling, and sometimes we can certainly say things on Twitter that later on you go, boy, that comes across differently than I meant it to, too.
And so it could be gambling related too,
And that's the thing. As women's basketball gets bigger, understand you're entering the gambling world. And I was annoyed at this game because before the game, I wanted to bet LSU. Iowa
was a value bet.
-3. And I sat there and said, I kind of don't want to bet against Catlin Clark. I want to watch her and root for her. And so I didn't do it.
Plus 130 money line had value.
And then I was pissed off the whole game.
I was just about to tweet that out.
I didn't bet it myself. So what are you going to do? All right, what is your second hot take?
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
What are we going to do with this team, Graham? I did take the 1.5 run line today.
Same.
Just to piss me off even more because I know.
Wait, you took the Tigers today?
Yeah, I took the Tigers plus 1.5.
I took the other way.
Yeah, lucky you. I just don't know. And Chris McCoskey, after game 2, he's like, you people need to calm down. He's tweeted out that shit. That's the last thing people want to hear.
The James Edwards approach.
Yeah, the last thing, especially guys like our age, maybe a Gavin Haas or someone in their 20s want to hear like, hey, guys, be patient. But guys our age are like, fuck all the way off. They scored 3 runs in 3 games and looked absolutely awful and looks like they're going to set the record for the most losses in a Major League Baseball season. I mean, I understand it's 3 games into 162, but this shit doesn't look like it's going to be fun whatsoever. What's the pitching staff, Graham? Are they going to get better at all?
So,
I mean, is Al Avila getting away with a lot here?
Well, Al Avila's done, but yeah.
I understand, but
right.
We should be bringing him up. If Scott Harris is doing the best he can, we can't fault these guys that are in there now.
No, it's first line of his obituary stuff for Al Avila, no question. And this is going to be one of my takes as well. This team might be historically bad because the difference between last year and this year, and I don't think they'll ultimately hit as bad as poorly as they did for as long as they did last year. But their bullpen last year saved them so much. They were actually pretty good. Like that was like playoff level bullpen. Nothing else was good. And so what that happened is you wound up in all these games that were like 2-0, where even if it looks like they'll never get a run, when you're down 2-0, you're one swing away a lot of the time. And they don't have that this year. And so they're going to be out of these games
And Jake
quickly.
Rogers had to hit one in the 9th inning, a solo shot. So they should have two runs in 3 games. And don't tell me about Tampa's pitching staff and all this other shit.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. This team is in trouble, and Chris Ilitch and Al Avila need to be blamed on a daily basis.
It is scary to watch how bad they are. And I also think that I know that Scott Scott Harris wanted to evaluate this team this year before they made. Why did they need to evaluate a full year of this? Like, to me, maybe you make a trade in May because people are going to turn off real quick. And here's the danger. Gavin Haas, and we always bring Gavin up, Gavin, because you're our youngest listener we're aware of. But people of his age group, like if you think about peak times, important fandom is formed. It's the reason we love the Bad Boys, right? It is, we are 9, 10 years old, and they are amazing, and it sticks with you forever. And you become a Pistons fan, right? The problem now is if this goes year 7, and you're 16 years old, and they haven't been relevant at all since you were 8, like at what point does that affect you? Turn to a different team? Do you not care about baseball? Like, you lose generations of fans when you let it go this long. And at a certain point, you're better off throwing bad money at the problem and bringing in a few contracts and being relevant and interesting, because you know what? It's baseball and there's no salary cap, so there's no bad contract. You can just keep overpaying if you have the money to own a team, which I'm not sure Chris Ilitch has because of the way he behaves. There are no bad contracts in baseball. There are just people are too poor to own a fucking team.
Bobby Bonilla.
Well, that's fine.
But
But
for 32 years,
if you can afford it, it doesn't matter. If you you can afford the team. There are no truly bad. There are obviously bad contracts in baseball. Certainly for the Tigers, who don't spend a lot of money, I'm not sure they needed to wait all year to evaluate this team. I think they might be historically bad. I think we need to start betting on them. Just about. They go to Houston next, Jason. Houston. I think the run line is if we bet the run line
3.5 runs.
The run line's going to be 1.5, because that's the other thing. In baseball, we learned this that one year that they were so horrible. It was like 2019 or 18, whatever it was. They can only do so much in baseball. They really just do the run line, 1.5. And that's how we made money for a while that year. So I'm wondering if, like, you're telling me right now, if we bet the Astros 3 straight games in Houston to win by 1.5, we're not going to at least win 2 of those bets? There's no way.
Well, it's baseball. I'm sure the Tigers will win 2 out of fucking 3 games.
Yeah.
But
if they do that, we'll reevaluate.
Happens.
I'm willing to lose that bet for this. I felt
they
today
just look like they can't hit, so I don't think it's a bad bet, right?
I think it's a great bet. What is your third hot take?
Well, I like jokes. I do enjoy funny things, but there's one thing I can't stand, and it's April Fool's Day. I hope next year. I think it's because of social media is why I hate it. Because remember back in the day, you try your dad with, "Hey, Dad, you got a flat tire out here," and then you come out and see, and you're like, "God damn it!" But April Fool's Day is now it's just everybody going like, "I went to the store today and I saw, insert a celebrity, Carmen Electra." Just kidding, April Fool. It's like, and all these people putting out Hunter Dickinson to Michigan State, and just all of this shit on April 1st, and I'm just like.
It's a little much, and the Hunter Dickinson MSU, it's a little much. It's not entertaining. I don't want to get into a ton of it in my response because there's a couple good hot takes on it from listeners, but no doubt there's
I like a good one.
There's
all of these
100%. The art to a good April Fool's joke has been lost, and we'll get into that. And everybody thinks they're funny. If you're not funny, April Fool's is a good day to figure it out for yourself.
Don't try.
Don't. Yeah, it's not. It's not great. It's not great, and it gets annoying. And then you just can't wait for it to be freaking over. My third hot take: Hunter Dickinson leaving Michigan. This isn't entire. Like I didn't see it coming, but understanding what probably matters to him and the idea from everything I've read that he wants to go somewhere if he's got 1 year left of college hoops, where he's going to play relevant basketball. The reason he has to leave is where Juwan Howard failed. There is a sweet spot that some schools have mastered. Some have done it through the transfer portal. Other schools have done it through just recruiting and veteran development. Michigan State's done a decent job of it in terms of why they're going to be considered a contender perhaps next year. But you don't want to recruit guys who are better pro prospects than they are college players. And that begins with his son, Jet Howard, who I believe was the worst player on Michigan's basketball team this year.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
Because I don't believe there was another player on that team who is the reason that they were in the NIT versus the NCAA tournament as much. In other words, any single other player on that team they would have been better off with in place of Jet Howard, because Jet Howard didn't play defense. There was zero accountability for that. He still kept playing. He didn't cut out on free throws at times, kept playing. That permeates the roster when you don't have that accountability, right? And ultimately, then you wind up in the freaking NIT. And when you're a guy who's going to be a one and done anyway, What is the value of you if you're going to be in the NIT? What is the point of recruiting a player? I know he's your son. Kobe Buffkin is a little different because he obviously was a 2-year guy who became a great player. But the best year of Kobe Buffkin, incredible, wound up in an NIT. What's the point? Mine's recruit Cassius Winston. A little bit shorter, a little bit slower. You get 4 years. There is a sweet spot in college basketball you got to try to find. It is the multi-year guy. And Michigan failed to do it around with really good college players around Hunter Dickinson and develop good players around Hunter Dickinson. It begins with Jet Howard, who I believe was the reason they were in the NIT. And when you look at the talent on that team, they had no business in the NIT. Kobe Buffkin, legitimate college basketball, upper echelon player. Yeah, Jet Howard had some days where he scored, and he had some days where he carried them okay, but he had more days where he hurt them. And a team that lost that many games close at the end, losing by 6 points, it is the little things you do. It is stops in key moments. It is accountability on defense and rebounding, and you cannot get where you want to go. They wasted everybody's time by having Jet Howard on that team, including Jet Howard's, who, if you didn't want to play college basketball and be accountable and grow, if you just want to be in the NBA, fucking go to Australia, play in the G League. I don't know, but he'll get drafted and maybe he'll be an effective NBA player. But the college game was not for him. It cost them dearly this year, and it cost them Hunter Dickinson.
So do you blame Dickinson though, even though he's seeing like all the other guys like a mass exodus? I mean, do you want to stay there if you're Hunter Dickinson, or try to slide into a scenario?
I don't
where
blame.
Hopefully, you can get to a Final Four.
I don't blame anybody who puts in. Like, I think he's going to be a grad transfer, right? So I don't blame him. He graduated there. He put in the time he needed to put in. He gave them 3 years. And I do not think he's like – he's a very effective college basketball offensive center. I don't think he's a great defensive player. He is not I don't think he's improved to the level I thought he would improve. But I'm not going to question his work ethic on that. Some people just have lower ceilings than you anticipate. Like, I thought offensively, he's never learned how to go over the other shoulder that well. And that's easier said than done, right? I mean, forever we were just like, hey, Marcus Bingham, just put on 30 pounds, you're a pro. Just never could happen. Like, not everybody can do everything you want for them to be perfect. So Hunter Dickinson is a great college basketball player, a great offensive college basketball player, a very good college basketball player. In the right place, he'll be incredibly effective and could be the difference. And for a guy who plays a position and is built like he's what the NBA has basically said we don't want anymore, and he's just not quick enough to play at that level, then you might as well go somewhere where you think, take a great NIL offer, go somewhere you think you can help get to a championship. Yeah, I don't blame him at all.
NIL, though, at Michigan is going to be more than where he can get.
You think so?
I don't know. It's already set in stone. If you go there and you're like the third star, where are you going to go?
No, people are going to entice him pretty good here. And I bet you he makes substantially more going somewhere else. And I think he also, though, wants to leave his mark. If you're Hunter Dickinson and you see the roster, you don't want to be in the NIT next year. Right. You don't want 2 straight years in the NIT as a senior. Like, that becomes your legacy. I totally understand why he wanted to move on, if that makes any sense to you.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to dig into these listener hot takes?
Of course. Eric Schultz up first. Number 1, Graham misremembers how good that 2015 team was. If it's not inexplicably Izzo's worst free throw team, they go 10-2 to end the regular season. Both losses to Wisconsin are like a 4 seed, and the Final Four run is no surprise. It wasn't just a bubble team that got hot. They got good. 2, Graham misremembers the player Malik Hall has been throughout his career. There were so many instances over the previous 3 years where it looked like the kid had never picked up a basketball before. Junior year Hall on the next year's team would be a problem. And 3, Costco is ass. There's no rhyme or reason to where things are located. It's insanely crowded. It's impossible for it to be one-stop shop. There are inexplicably no bags, and you don't save money on a lot of stuff.
Appreciate you, Eric.
You should win the gift card just for the third take alone. We are members at Costco. Not
going to be a sponsor, apparently.
My sister. Well, I'm saying I don't mind some products they have. I don't get the
kidding.
Costco. Like my sister's boyfriend absolutely loves Costco, and I hear these people that love Costco, and then we go there, and I'm like, I mean, it's okay, it's great, it's good, but are you really that excited about it?
I like their beef, and
right, but do you get excited to go to Costco?
No, because first of all, it's on the other side of town. But
if it were next to your house,
and the gas is usually there's a line for it, and it doesn't save that much money. I'm not a huge.
Shit is wild to me that people sit in line for like 35 minutes to save $1.20 on gas.
No, we go there occasionally. We have a membership. I got it for Elizabeth as a birthday gift one year because she wanted it.
Big spender.
And then it's one of those things you forget about till it automatically charges your card every year, and you're like, shit, I guess we're doing that again. So we got Costco. I
agree with them though.
So to the first two, you will not win the Hopcat Hot Take of the Day gift card by beginning the your first two takes. Graham misremembers, by the way. That's
tough.
It's a rough one to come back from. That's interesting though. Your impression of the 2015 team. I do remember Michigan State basketball team. Obviously, I do remember they were historically bad free throw shooting team at home, especially Travis Trice. At one point, I did a column. He was 86% on the road, 60% at home, and I believed a lot of it was fans' fault because it fed itself, and you could feel the tension in the building as he continued to shoot poorly and groan, and like you had to almost convince people if you don't groan here, it will help. I don't know. I covered that team, obviously, and I remember writing a column after they lost at Maryland, and they were awful, and I remember that late January and early February being in the locker room, and they were miserable. And I remember talking to Costello about it. Now, the question is, did they get good, like legitimately good? They didn't. Yeah, you're right. They didn't just get hot in the sense that when they put Tum Tum Nairn into the lineup and took Trice out for a while, and then they put Trice back in. But it was Tum Tum that year kind of changed who they were, and they did find something. There's no question about that. They weren't a fluke, but they did play above. I mean, Travis Trice spent 3.5 years not being the player he was at the end of his fourth year, and that was different than say Tyson Walker, who was against Villanova the player he was at his best all his senior year. Right, there was something that happened to Trice late that year that changed them a little bit. But it's an interesting point.
Dominic next. Number 1, Chris Ilitch is a fucking war criminal, man. To just assassinate your father's legacy so you can swim in gold coins like Uncle Scrooge is unforgivable. And dear God, Alavila won't see heaven. 2, Graham, it really is okay for fans to want some high-level play at quarterback. I understand your intolerance of the mob, but this isn't that. Thorne simply wasn't good at all last year, so if people want Caton Hauser to get a look, I can't blame them. If you know, that's okay with you. And 3, if Connecticut doesn't win tomorrow night, I'll never financially recover.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
I think, a lot of people have, like I have some futures tickets on UConn that like $10, $20 ones.
Thank God for Catlin Clark on Saturday.
Pay multiple hundreds.
Money line.
You had Catlin Clark Saturday?
Iowa.
I saw that. Yeah.
I had to sprinkle it. It just seemed like a crazy, especially at 11.5 point underdog.
It's amazing that they went from 11.5 underdog to 3-point favorite.
Right.
She was brilliant, but there is money to be made in the women's game. I think Vegas is still trying to figure it out. Sometimes you're like, and don't get me wrong, I've lost money on.
And I think a lot of people didn't want to bet on LSU today, just like us, because we didn't want to root against Catlin Clark. So.
Yeah, sometimes you
have to.
Being a good bettor means siding with the villain, and it's not a lot of fun. Let's go to number 2 here, though. The idea that Michigan State fans, I've been critical of the sort of Caton Hauser push at quarterback without anybody having seen him play, and Caton Hauser is him, and the tandem of him and Keon Clark will bring multiple championships and all that stuff. And this is not just a direct shot at Gavin. I apologize. But I think it is okay to want higher level play than they saw last year. Peyton Thorne was very average last year. He was average with some in difficult circumstances, but he was 100% average. But what people should want is better quarterback play, whoever that might be. And they don't know that. And look, if you want to see Caton Hauser, what you're saying here, people want to look at Caton Hauser, I think is 100% fair. That's not the tone of some of it that drives me insane. This man is Jesus. He has arrived. That is the tone, and it is fucking annoying.
Well, let people get excited, man. Munch Madness next. Number 1, the Iowa-South Carolina game was better than the FAU-San Diego State game, regardless of the buzzer beater. 2, does UConn's championship success in the tournament make them the most underrated college basketball program of the last 30 years? And 3, Couch for Lansing Mayor 2028.
Appreciate you, Munch Madness. Now, I don't.
Please do that.
I think the election will be in 2029. I think it's 2025.
Either way.
But yeah.
That'd be great.
It'd be funny if we were still doing this show and I was the mayor.
I don't think you would be able to.
Why not?
Talking about Hawaii Spa and
look, all this shit would come out in the campaign to the point that it would be okay.
That is valid, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget we record these things.
Yeah, there's a whole history. Can you imagine being my opponent? Like listening episode by episode, like let's find the worst shit.
Especially we kind of sound like each other, so the political ads will have my voice on it.
They'll sound like, they'll be like, this guy spent 72 days in the Ingham County Jail. Oh wait, that's the other guy.
Stupid looking face.
UConn, are they the most underrated? If they win, are they the most underrated college basketball program the last 30 years?
I would think so, right? I mean, how many championships since
It'd be 3.
99?
There'd be 3 with 3 different coaches in like a decade and a half or something, like less than that. Like,
oh, okay. I thought it was higher than that for some reason. I thought we were up to 5. Possibly.
Well, it is.
But I mean, I still would have to put them up there if they win this year.
Totally. No, it's and I don't know how underrated they are. We do forget about them once in a while because every time the last time they won a championship, they disappeared quickly. But yeah, no, they're incredible.
Maybe next. Number 1, fans wanting Dickinson at MSU are displaying Michigan envy. It's a little embarrassing. 2, as obnoxious as his play is, his honesty about Michigan is appreciated. And 3, Graham is paying for Twitter verification because of this podcast. You can't risk a listener taking over the account.
There are certain listeners that would be an absolute disaster. There's no question about it.
Upper Deck Jerk Guy.
Yeah. We would just leave Twitter, I think. We'd find another method.
I'd stick around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The couple things here with maybe. I don't think. Did people really want Dickinson at MSU?
I don't think so.
I mean, I've seen a few of those posts, but I don't know how serious it is. There's a good.
I wouldn't hate it.
I don't know if it's U of M envy. I think it's just looking at a really good player.
Right.
And I don't know
that use some of his rebounds.
Yeah, I don't know that he fits at MSU all that well for what they need right now. Now, I'm not saying he wouldn't be good at MSU. I'm not saying MSU wouldn't be better with him than they are right now. But essentially, I think MSU needs rebounding defense, rim running big man, rim protection. And more than they need what Hunter Dickinson gives them. Now, having said that, he would absolutely upgrade them. But when you look at like how much of the offense would go through him and the other guys who want touches and all that stuff, I don't know. I might be reading this totally wrong, but I'm not saying he wouldn't be better, an upgrade. I'm just saying I think Michigan State can get what it needs out of that position without that sort of player.
Professor next. July show idea. Bring in popular listeners to sit in studio. Willing to pay to have a full hour of shenanigans with Dominic, Gavin, Neurotic Pants, and Upper Deck Jerk Guy. Give the people what they want. And bonus, pushing 40 is too old for Shirts vs. Skins pickup hoops. Possible health code violation.
I'll say that pushing 40 is, or it's not just 40.
It's not about the age. It's about your moobs.
There should never be Shirts vs. Skins. Once we got past 1984, it should never happen. And it be free when anybody takes their shirt off. Be free to tell them to put it back on. People do it some once in a while. It picks up.
But it's usually people that are supposed to be taking their shirt off.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's slimy. It's disgusting. You want nothing to do with it. You better not sweat. If you're somebody who doesn't sweat, and there are a few people out there, but it's the worst. And the worst is when they're also the BO guy who also takes his shirt off. That's the worst. Do not take your shirt off. Don't do it. And if you do it, also don't complain if somebody's wearing a watch or something and cuts you and nicks you or whatever.
What?
I don't know.
What kind of watch?
I just hate the shirt. The Shirt for Skins is not a way to do it. If you can't keep track of the 5 guys on your team, you're too stupid to be playing basketball. I also like the number 1 idea. I think we could put together the right panel. It'll be a funny show.
All right. Jeff Peterson next. The lead story in the Sunday Free Press was about the tattoos of individual Tigers players. Wow. 2 games into the season, to be a fly on the wall in the room of beat reporters covering this team.
Can you imagine sitting in the press box like, fuck, 159 more?
Yeah.
I mean,
Javi Baez has some pretty cool ats.
I mean, you do
that
some
one.
You do some stuff. You stop traveling to every road game. Eventually, you do some stuff on the road with prospects. There's lots of, there are other things you do, but it is just.
Yeah, but you got to be there when the team's bad, Graham.
You do.
You have to see the bad times. No, absolutely not.
Well, no,
I totally agree with it, but some people think that you have to go to everything when teams are absolute dog shit.
Well, you need to be there enough to build relationships with the guys who are going to be around. What you don't need to do is be there to build relationships with the guys who aren't going to be around. But if you're on the road occasionally, you want to make sure you're on the road enough that Riley Green thinks of you as somebody that he's used to talking to and he's comfortable talking with. Those sort of things you want. That's important in covering a team. But yeah, it's gonna be a long year.
Anthony Armour next raises ticket prices, won't spend on free agents, won't even put walls in his ballpark that people won't mock. Chris Ilitch is ass. It's 3 games in, so I'm trying, but it is. Yeah, but he doesn't care about this organization, right?
Did they raise ticket prices this year for real?
Why wouldn't he?
Jesus.
What does he give a shit? Can you imagine being a billionaire and then just deciding to not spend, though? Why would you want your legacy to be that? Chris Ilitch will forever be known as a douche.
And nobody stepped in to stop the Pirates from doing what they do, so nobody's going to step in to prevent this from baseball. I mean,
does he know Miggy's on the team still?
Well, that's
to
a
me, question.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole different issue. But it wouldn't be a problem that Miguel Cabrera was collecting his last paycheck. I think they should have just paid him to go away after he broke everything last year. But hang
out in the clubhouse if he wants.
Right.
You want to travel the team still?
Yeah. Go get yourself a fear bat. And they you haven't done that. He's you talk about guys who have first line of their obituary. I mean, he's like, I would care more about that.
Why? He's already a legend.
Chris Ilitch?
No, Jesus, Miggy.
I'm talking about Chris Ilitch.
Oh, yeah, Ilitch is so far gone.
Yeah, just the first line just says dipshit, and that's what you say on the freaking tombstone.
Yep. Annie, next. Number 1, now that Hunter Dickinson is transferring, it's time for Couch to tell the story behind the "he actually respects Izzo" comment. 2, Coach Freilich will be the Tom Izzo of the women's basketball program, resulting in a long run of national relevance. And 3, Carson Cooper is a starter by January.
So the Robin Freilich hire, I like the hire. I mean, I've been following her career for a long time because I grew up with her even back when she was the director of operations at Western Michigan when I was there for a minute. Like
you guys are tied together.
But going 104-3 in 3 years and winning a national championship in Division II is an impressive mark. And she had really done a lot of good things quickly at Bowling Green and got that thing headed. Everything's a step up. And there are no guarantees, but I think she's somebody people speak very highly of, and I'm from the outside, it seems like a good hire.
If people don't like the hire, who did they want?
Right, they
had a big name or something,
and she is in a sense. They were competing to get her. I mean, she's making $900K a year, and Susie Merchant's final year made $700K, and they knew they had to go get her. And Alan Haller said he knew he had to be aggressive. There were other searches that included her. Like this was probably going to be the year that she moved either way from Bowling Green just because other people were there. To the first part, the time to tell the story behind Hunter Dickinson actually respects Izzo. I don't have it's not my story 100% to tell. I'll just say this: they have chatted, and Hunter Dickinson has made it clear to Izzo just how much he reveres him. And so a lot of what Hunter Dickinson does is he plays the role of a villain. He plays the
looking face,
but he is. It is not like this. There's not animosity with Tom Izzo, despite what happened on his podcast.
Sounds like it. Alex James next. Number 1, I saw way too many April Fool's pranks this year that were neither funny nor clever. Our society is losing its creativity. 2, taking a piss in any bar or restaurant is a hazard. As my feet slowly slide outward, I wonder if Liz Frank is coming for me. And 3, The transfer portal in college basketball helps coaches tremendously. They not only dodge disappointing seasons by utilizing it, but many have won conferences or national titles they otherwise would not have by adding a missing piece or two. It's too late to be too proud, Izzo.
These here are our Hopcat hot takes of the day, presented by our friends at Hopcat. Best damn beer bar, world-famous cosmic fries, mouth-watering, award-winning burgers, including the Peyton Thorne burger. And you can call it the Caton burger. I can't even say his name. I'm so Caton Hauser burger. Like if you go and say, I'll have the Caton Hauser burger, they may actually bring you the Peyton Thorne burger, and they'll just give me the quarterback. Give me the starting quarterback burger. Each location, carefully curated craft beer lists featuring local partners. And you can go now, they have their local spring taps, new beers for the spring. And very cool. If you go to the hopcat.com or just go to your local Hopcat, you'll get to try what it'll feel like summer, put it that way. Lots of TVs to watch the game, including Monday night's national championship. If you're betting against the Tigers, root for the Astros next week at a local Hopcat, NBA playoffs, whatever it may be. Go to hopcat.com for the nearest location, including East Lansing, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Detroit, all of that good stuff. And our friend will wind up with a Hopcat gift card. Alex James here, $20 for his Hopcat hot takes of the day. I want to go to number one here. You talked about it, the April Fool's thing. It was the worst this year I've ever remembered it, Jason. Like, it was just.
Did you partake?
I mean, I tweeted out a April Fool's joke from 5 years ago that was
a classic
that actually worked. But I don't do them every year. You do.
Who said it worked? You?
It worked by how many people were fooled by it. And that's what's kind of good. So it was an April Fool's joke announcing I was leaving for the Athletic, at the height of everybody leaving for the Athletic.
I remember that, yeah.
The Athletic Lansing. And I was going to nonstop wall-to-wall coverage of the lug nuts and prep sports. And my first piece was like a deep dive on the underbelly of high school water polo. And you would be surprised. Like, I got emails and letters in response to that tweet, people going, fuck, we are going to miss you. Even on April Fool's. And it wasn't even like the earliest part of April Fool's Day. It was, I think it was a morning tweet, but it wasn't like.
So then when you said April Fool's, those people that said they would miss you fucking hate you now.
They do.
So that was smart.
But that was a good April Fool's joke. Don't do it unless you have it. And there were just too many. It was like, let's announce so-and-so. I mean, the problem right now is it's in the middle of the transfer portal time. So it just lends it. Like, we should have a moratorium on transfer portal April Fool's jokes. That should not be a thing.
We should just make April Fool's not a thing.
100%.
Yeah.
100% with you. Alex, we appreciate the hot takes. You'll get the Hopcat gift card for your efforts.
John Crazier next. Number one, Izzo should put a call into Hunter Dickinson. If he was on this past year's team, MSU is in the Final Four. 2, the Lions only win 9 games this year and either get the final playoff spot or just miss out again. They won't be able to handle being the target. 3, the Masters taking place during Easter weekend is the perfect excuse to slip away from the family gathering so I can maintain Michigan basketball is priceless. And bonus, I guess. The Tigers bats will come alive when they start playing in warm weather. WTF.
I don't even know if that's John's third take or if it's a bonus take from somebody else, but it might be.
Add it on yours, John.
Yeah. The Masters on Easter weekend is phenomenal. First of all, the Masters should always be on Easter weekend.
Why?
And
so you can watch it?
No, it just goes with Easter. It's just part of and it's not, the Masters shouldn't move. Easter should freaking always be on the weekend of the Masters. I understand there are biblical reasons, but
I'd rather it not be on.
No, you don't like it? Oh, I love
because
the
I might have to do
it.
some with my nephew and I
don't
know how long that's going to take. I mean, I'd rather have it on a weekend with nothing going on. But
I have so many fond memories growing up of going to like my grandparents and watching the Masters, and like it was always Easter weekend and egg hunt in the morning.
Well, yeah, it was
that sort
awesome
of stuff.
then.
Okay,
but now it's just like when you have to run away from your wife to watch the Masters. It's not a good sport to have to like run away from and then try to watch a little bit.
No, you need
the guy can line up a putt for like 4 minutes, and you're like,
yeah, you want to be all
happening,
dug in, and have some time just to be by yourself. Yeah.
Nestle's Quick Hotel next. Number one, I have the same take around this time every year. The NCAA tournament has the worst finish from a schedule standpoint of any event. The championship game on a Monday night? Why? 2, not sure the Tigers win more than 50 this year. Yikes. And 3, Dickinson to Oakland. Just a troll. little Greg Campy.
I'd watch that.
Definitely.
I agree on the Monday night thing to an extent. It's not ideal.
ass.
But that said, there's also an argument that the actual day that's the celebration day is the Saturday, 2 games. And that really works great on a Saturday. Would that be better on a Thursday? I don't think so. Like, to me,
Friday night?
yeah.
But even then, you have to put it on, the championship game on Sunday?
And it goes, I like
I
the
got to
way-
say, I'd rather have the 2 Final Four games on Saturday.
That's where I'm at, too. Like, I don't like it with I wish in football, the national championship would just tell the NFL to screw off and go ahead and play on Saturday, even if the NFL is going to get a playoff game.
People on the East Coast to screw off.
Well,
Stay up till 1 in the morning.
yeah, what's the NFL going to – I mean, the NFL might have some traction, but if you have a compelling national championship game in college football, that's going to dwarf the NFL, and it'll stand down. It will not compete head-to-head with a really good college football national championship.
Ryan Schultz next. Number 1, to each their own, but Jason being dismissive whenever Graham mentions how much he likes the show New Girl is purely because of the name. It's the greatest comedy show of the 2010s by miles.
Appreciate you, Ryan. This was damn near the Hopcat hot take of the day.
He's wrong. But 2, Dickinson is transferring because he wants to compete for something big while he's in college and doesn't believe he can do it under Juwan. Before Graham responds, the COVID year only half counts. 3, MSU would have been better equipped to handle Aaron Henry's foul trouble in the Final Four had Kyle Arns not been injured. Arns wouldn't have gotten hurt if Lawyer had gotten us past Ohio State in the Big Ten tourney. Ergo, Foster Lawyer cost MSU a national title appearance.
All right, even if I have to pay for it myself, this is a second Hopcat hot take of the day. This is too good. I like this a lot.
Can I say, okay, number 1, first of all, I've watched New Girl.
Yeah.
And it's fine if you like it. I just cannot, the greatest comedy show of the 2010s, maybe, because I would have to see a list. But I'm not dismissive. I don't think it's as great as Graham thinks it is, like top 5 all time and all this crazy stuff.
I think it's phenomenal. But that's fine. No, I do think you have more.
I have watched it.
Yeah, more knowledge of it than it's not like many of the Hallmark shows, the Christmas movies that
Definitely
you dismiss.
better than that, but that's not saying much.
But you don't watch those, so you don't know. I mean, you don't
Pretty
know
much know.
the small town girl who goes home at the Christmas tree farm.
Meredith Baxter Burney just ran my life in the 80s and 90s. I know what you're talking about.
All right, but Ryan, these are Hopcat hot takes of the day worthy. So we're gonna do 2 this week.
You're just handing out gift cards now. You're pulling them out of the bag.
This is really yeah. These are really good. Again, best damn beer bar, world famous Cosmic Fries. Go to hopcat.com to find the Hopcat nearest you and check out the new spring beers on tap. So I want to go to number 3 here, though. I like these sort of what if things, and I'm going to do a what if series this summer. But and I'm actually writing about tonight after the show. I'm going to write about the Final Fours that Michigan State did not win, and sort of in order of which ones were missed opportunities. And this is an interesting point. If Foster Lawyer doesn't get hot against Ohio State, and Kyle Arns and Michigan State wins that game, Kyle Arns doesn't get hurt in that Big Ten tournament. He's there to help in the Final Four, and they're a little bit different team the way he was playing. It's an interesting point. Now, it's a lot of what ifs, and you can't blame Foster Lawyer for hitting four 3-pointers. But there is a very good argument that the Foster Lawyer's greatest moment at Michigan State was actually detrimental.
Matt C. next. Number 1, the thought of watching Peyton Thorne play quarterback without Jaden Reed is terrifying. 2, Izzo will get a transfer big because he knows next year is the last best shot to win it all. And 3, Xavier Booker and Cohen Carr are way better than all the media think, and we win the national title next year. And bonus, how the F is women's college in the 4-quarter format and not the men's? This seems like such low-hanging fruit to stop 8 minutes of bonus per half and to increase the flow of the game. There's no good argument for 2 halves and 5 fouls.
Yeah,
There's another gift card.
Yeah, he's really good, Matt. No,
right on point.
It's well done, Matt. No, I agree with you that they need to move to quarters, and I've heard they're not going to do it soon. But I keep
Why
thinking,
not? You have to give us a reason. You can't just go.
I've heard there's more money in the halves, and I don't really understand why.
God,
it seems like
enough of your money. We know you guys make shit tons of money. Stop with the money.
Yeah, well, but I don't really. Somebody needs to explain to me why there's more money in a half. I've seen that out there, and I'm like, I don't really understand.
But people just say it, so then you're like, oh, okay then.
No, I don't agree. I'm just
not you. I'm just saying, as a society, we're just like, well, all right, I guess next year. We'll root for it.
Yeah, there are ways to make up the cash. I would.
Can we just talk about it?
There is a chance, though, that Booker and Carr are better than somebody like me thinks, and that Michigan. I mean, first of all, Cohen Carr won the dunk contest.
I saw that. Putting out video. It was unbelievable, that dunk. And you can't stand Cohen Carr. It's crazy.
Whoa. That's not what I said.
All right.
He's got a stupid-looking face.
Nope. I mean, tape don't lie.
I just said I'm not as convinced. I mean, I think he's an unbelievable dunker. The question I have is he also an unbelievable rebounder and defender? And that's what I want to know. And again, in Booker, sometimes what happens with a guy like Xavier Booker, and this is a fair point by Matt, is the expectations become so high because of the ranking. You go and you see potential flaws in terms of his size, and he's not as, I don't think he's quite where Jaren Jackson was, and he's going to need. He doesn't look like a one-and-done dude right now. But ultimately, he's still athletic as hell, 6'11", long and skilled. And those guys don't grow on trees in the college game. And he could have a greater impact than we realize. And it'll really depend on how quickly he adjusts to things, how much he deals with the physicality and is able to use his athletic ability. And we'll find out. But 100% he could be more effective right away than me or others think he might be.
Gavin Haas next. Number 1, Caden Hauser has already won the starting job. The social media team quickly deleting 2 posts involving him is suspicious, almost as if they're trying to hide something. I'm going full tinfoil hat here, guys. I need any positive football news. 2, the Tigers suck. The Pistons don't have a direction outside of Cade Cunningham, and I don't watch hockey. The Lions are the greatest team in Detroit currently, and that's both exciting and scary. The fun part is they'll live up to it or surpass expectations. Playoff win, book it. 3, Michigan and Michigan State are in 2 very opposite positions. MSU football program is uneasy, while the basketball program is on a very fast rise, while Michigan's football program is at the top of college football. But the basketball program is in shambles.
So, by the way, if you find yourself a little uneasy that the Lions are your greatest hope, or worried that Caden Hauser is not going to win the starting job, and you're older than Gavin, Skymint. If you go to skymint.com right now, sign up, celebrate National Cannabis Awareness Month. If you sign up for their emails, and they will send you what they call free weed money, 50% off your next purchase. It's stackable. One purchase, but it's like you go there once, 50% off your entire purchase. They'll send you a gift card for, or a coupon for, through your email. I get all my deals from Skymint right through the emails. They have great rewards offers, as Jason's talked about before. Go to skymint.com, location information throughout Michigan, including 3 in the greater Lansing area, and daily specials and updated emails with great offers like the weed money for National Cannabis Awareness Month. To Gavin's, I think it is. First of all, I think the Pistons have a direction outside of Cade Cunningham. I just think they got, I love Jalen Durham's game. I think I love what they're doing with the bigs. They got too many of them, but they got a lot of guys to look at, and they're going to be assets. And I don't mind where the Pistons are. Cade Cunningham's out. They're going to have another high draft pick. Let's see who it is and what it is. I think the Pistons take a jump next year if Cade Cunningham's healthy and those guys are sophomore. I think they'll add another veteran. And I think the Pistons will be kind of where the Orlando Magic are this year, a year from now, and it'll be more competitive and more fun. But I do agree right now it's the Detroit Lions. Who would have thought that?
I know, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Because the national media is a part of it now and saying that we're going to win the division. It just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Great. Cracker Sofa, number 1. It won't matter who wins the quarterback battle of the offensive line. Doesn't take massive steps forward. Coach Cap better earn his check this year with almost 20 healthy linemen this offseason. 2, if Keon isn't him by Graham standards, then this team's ceiling is 7-5. Who else is a proven playmaker returning on offense? 3, Graham using this podcast to farm column ideas without sourcing credit is as much of a writing malfeasant, as an 8th grader using Chat GPT to write their book report on the old man and the sea for them.
Appreciate you, Cracker Sofa. And I do want Mal fuck whatever. It's on tape somewhere. That's fantastic. You guys are smart, and you're our audience, and you're my readership in a lot of ways. So of course I'm going to farm
kiss
ideas.
their ass.
No, I'm going to farm ideas. I'm going to farm ideas. When I see a good idea, I'm not going to write it at the top. I'm not going to double byline. And what am I going to say? Buy Graham Couch and Cracker Sofa?
Yeah. If God is real, you would put that, yes.
Okay.
To see Cracker Sofa.
I do agree with you, with these. I mean, the thing on Keon Coleman is most teams don't have proven playmakers returning who don't leave for the NFL and college football. Like he is, I think they're going to be okay at the playmakers position. I think more number one is what's important. And they do have a lot more healthy offensive linemen. They've got 19 practicing right now. That's a good, you've got to think, like if you've got a decent offensive line coach and you've got 19 dudes in the system, you ought to be able to come up with 7 who can really play for you, 8 who can really play for you. And that's what you need to sort of get through a season. And we'll see. I do think this is a big year for them, and I think that was a big problem for Peyton Thorne last year. Not absolving Peyton Thorne of last season. I'm just saying it would have been a tough year for any quarterback last year.
Fart Soup next. Number 1, Mexican food is the best food. Is that hot? Is that a hot take?
That's hot.
2, Graham's mentioning of Melting Moments ice cream sandwiches in the Robin Freilich article is exactly why I pay $2.99 for the LSJ.
You got a deal right now, to be honest with you.
$2.99? That's for like 2 years.
She brought it up. I nearly quoted her on it because I just thought nobody would believe. They thought I was just forcing it in there.
We wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, well.
Mr. Benjen next. Number 1, Hunter Dickinson will transfer to University of Buenos Aires and Nazi hunt in Argentina. 2, a few weeks ago, Couch said middle school clarinet was the worst thing to ever listen to. Wrong. It's the piccolo.
Yeah, the piccolo may be bad, too.
What's the piccolo?
It's like a little flute. Smaller flute. Yeah.
Like the recorder?
Oh, the recorder's bad. A bad recorder is bad. Oh,
bad recorder's bad. It's all bad.
I'm telling you.
Fucking 10-year-olds playing a recorder.
Yeah. If you get a kid who's taking beginning band, God bless you.
Yeah. Earplugs. Phil next. Number 1, the Iowa-South Carolina game was awesome. Are the refs better in women's basketball, or is it just me? It's just you. 2, This is the year MSU football gets a 5-star. And 3, told my wife I need a muskox flannel.
Bless you, Phil. And if you are like Phil and you want a muskox flannel, you can go to gomuskox.com or visit gomuskox.com/spring for their latest spring releases. Some fantastic stuff, and including sleeveless. The cutoff, the muskox cutoff. There's a badass picture of Brad and Brad Hughes, who is their founder and CEO, modeling this. It looks cool. It's a good look, and the muskox cutoff again. Who needs sleeves anyway? Guaranteed badass toughness unless you have scrawny arms. Buttery soft, built like a tank, and made with heavyweight cotton. Feel the freedom and let it rip. Visit gomuskox.com to check out their story and their full line, and be as comfortable and good looking as me and Jason. Sorry. Should
I don't know.
What should we answer these? The refs, were they as?
I got to say, Saturday
Better.
in the South Carolina game, I didn't mind. I'm like, man, the refs are letting them kind of play. But today,
yeah,
that was embarrassing.
It was not good. It was not good today.
DMB, number 1, the MSU spring football game would be packed if they just allowed tailgating. 2, Catlin Clark is her. 3, we will see a Caton Hauser and Peyton Thorne battle until it's settled at the Washington game.
1 and 3 here are I want to get into. Ignore 2. But although if anybody's going to be her in the college game, it's Catlin Clark. If they allowed tailgating, it would help. There's no question. If you allowed people just to make it a party. And that's kind of what you had to do. And I don't know why they don't do that. You also need good weather. Like the Michigan game, it was like 40 degrees and windy, and that was
because
awful.
2 people will puke at the tailgate and they have to regulate it and all these rules and where you can drink. And
yeah, I don't know why they don't allow them to do that. If it was a priority, I'll say this: if it was a priority and they want people at the spring game, then they should let people tailgate.
What if you just started doing it?
Yeah, maybe
like,
you can
just pop your trunk and started hammering some beer and some Sky Mint. And
I love the idea. I do think also the QB battle, we said this on Friday, I think it'll go into the season. And the Washington game is a possible game where there's some separation. At some point, there will be some separation, and I don't believe it'll be a back-and-forth thing. If it's a back-and-forth thing, it's trouble. Because if it's truly a situation where you're seeing somebody struggle to the point that's a problem and somebody replacing them and you don't have the guy, you're going to be struggling to get to 500.
Aaron Lunecki. A great taco has a proper filling to tortilla ratio. Too full, and it's no longer a great taco.
Unless you got a big plate. If you got a big plate and the mess of the taco is only falling on the plate and not your clothes and you're in private,
you better be by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're by yourself, you can overdo the proper filling size and the ratio.
Mexican food really bad on a first date.
Oh, yeah?
Multiple reasons. I mean, you just look like a disgusting, crazy person. It'll make you fart later. So it's like it's a lose-lose.
Have you done Mexican food on a first date?
You think I could remember what I've had on first dates?
Yeah, I don't.
You know how fucking like ossified drunk I'd have to get to go to some of these dates.
I've been to a Mexican tapas place once in Kalamazoo on a first date. Tapas.
Oh.
It's like the small plates.
Oh.
But it's so bad because two things happened. One, my jeans were too tight, so my stomach hurt. Number one. Number two, I have a complex at the small plate tapas places because I always worry that I'm not going to have enough food, so I overorder because I don't think there's going to be enough on the small plates. I don't like the idea of small plates.
Why don't you just try to eat what's there, and then you can order some more if you eat it, right? I mean,
totally should have done it. It was a relationship that lasted a while, but that particular meal.
Why were your pants so tight?
Like
you didn't like from the meal. They just all of a sudden became so tight.
Yeah, they were just jeans that looked pretty good on me. But the button was just
those.
a little tight. You know, it's like, and after a while, it's just like
you got to lay on the bed and just kind of weasel them in.
Yeah, and you just
Crisco.
After a while, it's like you got to pee all the time, and it feels like you feel like you got to burp all this bubbly
Meanwhile, we
in there.
have white men asses, and it doesn't mean anything. A good pair of jeans doesn't help us out.
No, that's
slide right off this chair.
That's a very good point. That was almost a story we're telling by a much better restaurant than a tapas place. Midtown Brewing Company at 402 South Washington Avenue. They have full-size plates. Fantastic menu. Great beer selection. Great place for an actual date, and your stomach won't hurt. Great place to watch a game or go for a beer after work. And which is one of my favorite places to cozy up with a beer and a friend and have a conversation. Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. Go to midtownbrewing.net to check out their full menu.
Gideon next. Catlin Clark is her. That's it. That's the only thing.
Thank you, Gideon.
Bill Hoffmeyer next. Number 1, Coach Freilich will retire from MSU with a record of 104-3 against Michigan. 2, how many years is that? 2, if Hunter Dickinson...
She'll be 90... If she coaches to like 96, she can do it.
All right. 2, if Hunter Dickinson ends up at Florida, I will not watch a single game while he is there. What a threat. C, MSU football is light years ahead of last year, and they need to be.
I do think they're in a better place this spring. I don't think we had quite a feel last spring for how in trouble they were in certain areas, mostly the offensive line. When you have 6 healthy offensive linemen, it's a problem. And to have 19, I think that's a big difference. I also think they've been humbled. I think there was a swagger coming out of that Peach Bowl that was deserved for that Peach Bowl team, but not deserved for the program, and that didn't help.
Sports Guy 1919. Number 1, pitch clock is awesome. Makes watching games on TV so much better. 2, the Masters will be extra special this year with the live golfers back with the PGA bros. And 3, the Masters on Easter is the best time. Go to brunch and eat a shit ton of food and put on sweats. Lay on the couch and watch.
Now, by the way.
It sounds good until the brunch thing.
Yeah, no, both Midtown Brewing Company and Front 43 and Cask Company, by the way, where I was today, both have good Easter brunch options if you're looking for a place around the greater Lansing area.
It's great that I said brunch is overrated as you just went into a live read about fucking brunch.
That's why we're good. That's why we're good. The live golfers. If one of the live golfers won the Masters, would it bother you?
Oh my God, I will never watch the PGA Tour ever again.
No, but
I think it would make for compelling television, especially if there's one PGA Tour player
down the stretch,
maybe down the stretch to win it. No, it doesn't bother me that these guys wanted to take that kind of cash. You get your reputation because you took the money. Am I offended by it? No. Have I tried watching Live? Yeah, I just don't like it. If it were good, I'd tell you. I mean, I don't know.
You know, some people feel like, here's the thing. Newcastle United Football Club is owned by the same Saudi government that Live is, and people don't seem as outraged. And I think I think the Saudis would have bought Chelsea if they'd been available. If the Russians didn't have to sell Chelsea,
unlimited money, just why not?
So I mean, like, and
by the
people,
Lions too.
People don't seem as outraged there. I do understand that this was something that seemed to threaten the PGA, and the PGA had to react accordingly. I think the Live Tour sucks. I think it'll be gone in a few years, but I think ultimately it did. Whether it was worth the means to the end, I don't know. But it
made the PGA Tour better.
Yeah, it did make the PGA Tour better. Yep.
Chris Eastlick next. Number 1. I like the new baseball rule changes so far. It's not a dramatic time difference, but feels faster. 2, the Tigers are definitely rebuilding the rebuild. And 3, Jim Salgado emphasizing communication will make a difference in MSU's secondary.
I sense sarcasm from Chris on that last one. What MSU football needs from its defense this year is something that they're really good at. Like, they need an element, an area that they need no part of their defense to be awful, and they need an area where they're good, where they can hang their hat on, where it becomes a strength. For too long, the defense hasn't had that. They need an element that is a strength for sure. Baseball, new baseball changes so far. I mean, I'm all for it. Like, it flies along 100%.
Yeah. G.E. Miller next. Number 1. Izzo has talked to a shooting guard and a center in the portal. Given current scholarship limits, he likely thinks he'll have one departure at each spot. If so, it will be Akins to the NBA and Kohler. 2, Mel Tucker partying with Khalif is hopefully him realizing he needs a D'Antonio-esque approach to recruiting and development, just with more 4-star kids. Trying to out-SEC the SEC in SEC country is not sustainable. He needs to compete with Penn State and Michigan for the best guys in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, New Jersey, District of fucking Columbia.
I don't know what I'm looking forward to the next time Mel Tucker is available, because he hasn't been since that change, and to his staff. And so I am curious about, like, everything that was behind that, but also if there are things as they move through this process that they're adjusting. And any good coach would be. Any good coach would be, you figure out what works and doesn't work. You know, you also recruit the areas you're comfortable in. No, I don't think you stop recruiting Georgia. If you got ties in Georgia, the one problem is, in the day and age where you don't have to sit out when you transfer, a homesick kid isn't going to wait. And you're much more likely to have a homesick kid when you recruit the South and bring them to Michigan if you do that with too many kids. To number 1, I don't think Izzo. I don't think Akins is leaving or Kohler's leaving. I think Izzo is doing due diligence. I think the staff is doing due diligence. You want to be in on kids in the portal, because you don't know 100% what your own guys are going to do until they say something. What's sort of fascinating, Jason, is in some ways, outside of the 2 seniors, Hall and Tyson Walker, nobody has to announce anything. You're an underclassman. Why would you say I'm coming back? You're just on the team, right? So you don't even know.
That's the new thing now.
Right. And I was going to say nobody has to do that until Carson Cooper, of all fucking people, did it. Like, Carson Cooper's like, let's run it back. Like, listen, where were you going to go?
It was reassuring. Say what you will, but in today's college basketball world, you have to say that stuff now, I guess.
I guess. But now to all the other guys, I mean, now it's like.
Poor Carson Cooper, by the way, he was just trying to be like, a normal basketball player in today's basketball world. Everybody's like, Jesus, man, where are you going?
Now Jay Nakin's like, all right, let's run it back. My junior year. I'm not leaving college early.
Poor Carson. Spartan 18770 next. Number 1, basketball games played in football stadiums should be a crime against humanity. 2, championship game tips off on a Monday at 9:30. Who's going to watch it at that time? Gamblers and people who don't have a job, that's who. Fuck the networks. 3, stop the big lie, Graham. We all know you watch Queen Latifah and The Equalizer. 2.1 million people aren't wrong. That's heavy, too. 2.1's nice.
That's a good number. Yeah,
That's way I go under.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was maybe I'm not paying attention. I don't. I am not a fan of basketball games and football stadiums. I understand. Like there was a debate on this last night, and I of course tweeted about it. And I don't even think I had anything to drink.
Were you high?
No, I didn't. No, Skyman wasn't.
People
cursing
were
the veins or anything. But part of it is this. I understand that people keep going to these arenas and keep buying these seats that are way in the rafters up in the sky. And so there is there. I would argue that very few people have ever done it twice. It is a shit experience. And I would like to interview the person who went to one Final Four, sat so far up there they didn't know it was a basketball game, and then said, I'm going to do that again. Because it's not great.
That should have been one of your hot takes. I actually like that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Ask those people if they sit up that high.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And again, there's enough of a market and enough new people to get, enough new teams to get it to happen once, or new people to do it. But they're not repeating up there. It's just not.
I mean, even if Michigan State made it, I'd still would rather watch it on TV.
It's awful. I watched one game from up there it was the 2009 Final Four in Detroit. I watched from the football press box one of the games. I was down low for one of the games. And obviously, I've been blessed to be down low at a lot of these games. They don't rarely put people up in the football press boxes a ton. You just couldn't tell what was happening. You were just watching it on TV up there pretty much. And you were pretty much there to do the post-game stuff. That's fine. And there could only so many seats down low, whatever. But I'm just saying I have that perspective. I understand how bad it is up there. It was not an enjoyable experience. Would have rather been at a bar, would have rather been at home, would have rather been just about anywhere else than there. And the idea that the experience of being at a Final Four is so great that it's worth that. No, it's not. If you can't see the sport that's being played, to me, it's not worth it. Now, teach their own, but I would venture a guess the number of repeat customers in the rafters is very, very low.
And if you're a repeat customer, you have to be just super fan or crazed or something.
And I would hate it, like if I was,
knowing you have to go that high up too.
And if you take your kid there and you think, oh, he gets my kid in the building, but I would be even disappointed with my.
There's 8K. There's 8K televisions.
Yeah, I don't
get it.
I don't. I'm not.
If you want to go. But man,
I don't. It does not make sense to me.
Mojo Jojo next. Number 1. Virginia, UConn, and Villanova seem to be the beneficiaries of tourney years where chaos reigned and we couldn't take advantage. 2, what would be the most fun university to go to sports-wise? Bama? And 3, non-Michiganders saying I have an accent always feels weird.
Yeah, because the Michigan accent is the accent. I don't really understand that either. If you're from somewhere else, you're just...
Oi, no. Oi, Michigan, eh?
So in terms of most fun university to go to sports-wise, I think it depends what you want. Like if football's your thing, if basketball's your thing, if hockey's your thing, if you want the overall deal. But then there's an argument, too, that like being at a smaller school, like a Butler, going to Hinkle Fieldhouse where it feels a little more intimate and that could be fun for it. It really depends what you're looking for.
FAU
may be fun. Small gym, Final Four run out of nowhere. I think if you're trying to, and the thing about Bama is nobody gives a shit about basketball, even though they're good. So I don't know that Bama would be it. If it's just sports-wise, it's a good question about what you'd want. You want a place you can be a little bit warm in the student section all year, so not up north. A place they care about both sports, that's relatively relevant and good, or maybe not. Maybe you want the basketball team to be irrelevant nationally, so it's your thing. It's your little world. It's your warped little world. You're one of 25 people who give a shit, and you're there all the time with a great seat. It's a really good question. We're gonna take a really quick break. We come back. Many more of your hot takes. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Muskox High Quality Flannels.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen, Bar, or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with one awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com.
Find Couch and the Rude podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rue, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, and our Sunday night show brought to you by Muskox Quality Flannels. Visit gomuskox.com to check out their latest, and you can use the promo code CAW15, CAW15, for $15 off your purchase of a Muskox Quality Flannel, and look as good as me and Jason. Couple things while we were away, I was just checking out the old Twitter machine and some reactions to us. One interesting point from one of our listeners and watchers tonight said that this wasn't, and this goes back to the Catlin Clark deal. This wasn't a race thing. Didn't even know that it was an outrage until watching the show. You want to know the amount of horrible stuff I've said about Grayson Allen and Mo Wagner. It's just emotional outrage in the moment. We all wanted to see a generational talent like Catlin Clark win, which I think is an interesting point. And again, teach their own. That may be where some people are. It felt different than that to me, and maybe that's my own thing, my own bias. I know it felt it felt different to a lot of people based on the people retweeting, liking, and commenting who feel that way too, who spend their lives very in tune to those sort of biases coming from the white world. So that is what it is. Also, Tyler points out, the odds for next year's national championship, men's national championship, are up. Michigan State plus 2,000. And I haven't checked this out and see what the odds are yet if they're up on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook, but plus 2,000. Do you like that as value?
Right now, sure. It's only going to go lower, right? I can't go higher than that. So you might as well snag it now if that's what you're going to bet in a couple months.
There aren't a lot of teams. So Duke is plus 1,000. Kentucky plus 1,200, Kansas plus 1,500, UConn plus 1,500, Marquette plus 1,600, Purdue plus 1,800. So there are 6 schools firmly ahead of MSU, and then North Carolina, Arizona, Alabama, Michigan State. So the next 4, Michigan State's basically tied 7 through 10. And if you think, I'd be curious to see. I actually don't think those are horrible, horrible odds. Now, I'll say this. I have UConn. I have a futures bet on UConn to win the national title that I got right before the tournament that was plus 1,900. and that was a really good UConn team that had played the season and proven itself to be very good. So the other thing that could happen is you could let them play the season. Your odds might not be much worse than that. That would be my only word of caution there. Let us dig back into these hot takes.
Travis Maynard next. Number 1, after 3 years of chirping and awkward on-court crotch celebrations, Hunter Dickinson bails on Michigan. Hilarious. Hunter's exit will lead to Terrace Reed having an all Big Ten type season, but Michigan will still miss the tourney, and Juwan will pack his bags as he goes down swinging. 2, Jackson Kohler stays at MSU and spends the summer improving his strength and agility. He slides over to the 4 spot, picking up where Joey left off. He and Booker share responsibilities at the 4, either being able to play the 5, being able to play the 5 in a pinch, or when the matchup calls for it. 3, Carson Cooper will start a game next season, and I'm 100% here for it. He's going to be one of those players we'll use as examples for the MSU fans that say Izzo can't develop big men. Cough. Xavier Tillman.
I'm going to dig into these quickly. I just want to also point out, though, and Travis, if somebody emails them, some other people DM them, you don't have the character limit when you email and DM, but still think about concise takes. Like, can you say that a little bit shorter would be just ideal, even if you don't have the character limit. Just give them
or
give them
Graham
a quick,
could edit them or something.
Or I do edit. Some of these that seem long were even longer. Put them that way. I do think Carson Cooper will not only start a game next season, I think he's got a chance to be the starter by the time they get to a certain point in the year. If he puts on the weight, and we will see. I think Cooper is going to be and I don't know what Booker's going to be and which position he'll play and what he'll develop into. But of the guys I've seen play at the college level who are on that roster, I think that Carson Cooper has the highest ceiling.
Tyler next. Number 1, after a wildly entertaining men's tourney, we're still going to end up with a champion, UConn, that none of us were rooting for. 2, the in-game emotion of jumping, hugging, and losing focus during big plays in women's game is too much. Guys would be kicked off Izzo's team for that.
Talking about the bench, I don't know if they would be on the bench. These are big games. I don't know if it's like that all season. But it's also okay if the women's game is different in that sense. Like women's volleyball, they celebrate every point like they just won the fucking national title, and it's like a non-conference game.
Men's volleyball, they do that.
Yeah, that's like a cultural thing in volleyball. Yeah. It's a little weird, but it is what it is. But like you get used to it. It's just part of the. I don't know that it's too. But if it's to each their own. UConn. A lot of people may not be rooting for them, but those of us who had them winning our bracket, or have a futures bet, and I have a couple different ones on them in a couple different books, are very excited about this.
Gambler tout here. Preston Zantello next. Number 1, Hunter Dickinson isn't going anywhere. It's another one of his publicity stunts. 2, not a take. Are you guys actually giving away a muskox to the bracket winner? If UConn wins, I win it. So I need to know how invested in this game I should be.
It's a good question.
I wouldn't be, Preston.
You wouldn't be invested?
Nah, I wouldn't be that invested. You never know if you'll get it.
We'll see. We'll maybe we'll just do that. Maybe that'll be the thing. But I feel like we've done some other contests where that sets a precedent that I don't want to set in terms of quality and prizes, but maybe not.
I can't believe anyone signs up for our shit.
Stay tuned, Preston. But
I don't want to start giving away good prizes.
No, I didn't mean like that, but that's a really nice. The muskox quality flannels are as good as it gets. I mean, that's a really nice.
Yeah, but the listener, they send in story ideas.
They do all this stuff.
Twitter questions. All they do is shit on how long they are. And
Preston,
no prizes.
Well, fuck it. The winner of the bracket will get a muskox high quality flannel.
Listen to Couch tonight.
We'll work it out. I'm just giving them out.
Just chucking out gift cards.
You get a prize. You get a prize. Yeah. You get a car. You get a car. No, Hunter Dickinson. I don't think he comes back to Michigan. I don't think this is a see what he can get NIL wise. I don't think this is see what else transfers.
Left. Why would he stay?
Yeah, I think this was it. And the things he said, it really sounds, and the things that Juwan Howard said, it really sounds like a departure.
Shep next. Number 1, Graham's soccer players roll around like bitches because getting cleated hurts more than injuries in other sports. Goes on his Mount Rushmore of bad takes. You said that? We'll get to it. 2, July show idea. Have Graham take a hockey slap shot to an unpadded back
Jesus.
Take a lacrosse stick check to his bare wrist and get hit in the ribs going over the middle for a football pass.
This is the worst July topic ever. Show idea. Yeah, no.
He can then confirm that all of these things hurt substantially worse than getting your foot slapped by a 140-pound soccer weakling. 3, note that the athletes in these sports sustaining these injuries do not roll around like bitches. They instead go out their way to minimize any visible pain or suffering.
All right, so there are 2 points here. One is there's no doubt that soccer players play up how badly they're hurt in the moment because they're trying to draw a penalty on the other team, and it's just part of the culture of the game. However, my point is this, that like where I have changed my tune is it used to be I used to hate the idea that they looked like they'd been shot in the moment and then were fine a few seconds later. I'm saying the moment of pain when a stud like that goes into your toe or into your shin or into your ankle is real pain in the moment. That's why it looks
but
like
how often does that happen? It's
constantly.
usually you watch the replay and you see a guy whiff. It doesn't even hit the guy, and he's like flailing and getting carried off on a stretcher.
It happens a lot. I'm surprised all these guys are walking by the end of games.
Jay Riemenschneider next. Number 1, Hunter Dickinson sure knows how to rain on a great parade. Literally minutes after some awesome Michigan news, he drops his bomb. 2, tourney draw aside, I think MSU's basketball season ended in about the right way. They were a 12-loss team, up and down play, even when fully healthy. So when they never really were what we usually consider to be a Final Four team. 3, you say the Spartans need to get on Ohio State's level in football, but Michigan should be the target. Yes, MSU has beaten Michigan, but MSU football as a program right now is nowhere near Michigan's level. The Wolverines are the ones winning the conference and beating the team you say MSU needs to beat, and this is not Michigan smugness.
No, I'm with you on that. I think Penn State and Michigan are who Michigan State needs to aspire to be because that is those are the programs that are capable of beating Ohio State. You're never going to be exactly Ohio State. Doesn't mean you don't want to aspire to be what they're bringing in, and it has been done only once really in college football. That I can think of in modern times where a team sort of went from middling to like Clemson, what they did, and that's hard to do. It's what Michigan State did in basketball, hard to do. That's a fair point. Yeah, Michigan State's basketball season did end about where it should. Sweet 16, team that became something more than it was up and down all year. Did they have the potential to be more? They did, given the bracket opened up for them. I think they would have been in trouble against UConn. Size-wise, what UConn has, I think they would have been in trouble. But there is no doubt to me that they would have been no worse than a 50-50 game all the way to the final, which, again, it's a coin toss. It's like gambling, and eventually you lose that coin toss. But Michigan State had sometimes I think they would have had a better than 50-50 shot against Florida Atlantic, and I would have been very curious, I think, to watch them play San Diego State.
Eric Larson next. Number 1, Dickinson will head to Duke and then face MSU in the Champions Classic in November. 2, Catlin Clark. She is her. Jesus. Number 3. 3, O'Hare is a nightmare. Had my flight canceled to Houston to see the Final Four on Friday night. Luckily got booked on another airline to arrive in Dallas at 2:30 a.m. Had to rent a car and drive 4 hours to Houston to arrive at 7:50 a.m. Crashed in hotel and then woke up at noon. Saw one great game and had a great time with my son. But, man, O'Hare is the worst.
Yeah, the thing about O'Hare is the only time it's effective is if you like vouchers, which are like you can get a voucher when there's a delay or there's a mechanical problem or the airline screws up. You can get sometimes $1,000. That's a place you want to fly through for a connection because you got to have time, though. If you're on your way somewhere, like you were on the way to the Final Four, it's just inconvenient. But if you're on your way back from a trip and you have nowhere to be, I've flown intentionally through O'Hare in bad weather thinking that I would have a decent chance at a voucher, and it's worked a couple times. So it is a place.
So you booked the flight because you knew the weather was going to be bad?
Well, I wouldn't say I knew it was a winter flight in basketball season. I knew the connection could be a problem given their track record at O'Hare, and I thought I had a chance to get a voucher, and it's worked occasionally. I've gotten some good vouchers in different places, but that's one that happens more often than not just because they suck.
Sparty Ben next. Number 1, Catlin Clark is the best college basketball player, male or female, in the last 3 years. 2, Hunter transferring is a bad thing for Michigan and MSU. Terrace Reed showed flashes last season, and Michigan was better when he was on the floor, especially when they played Michigan State. 3, FAU got 0 calls in the last 8 minutes of that game and still only lost by 1. Feel bad for them, but if Dusty May sticks around for another year, they could be great again. Only one player is graduating, and he came off the bench. Bonus. Tigers might go 0-162. This is embarrassing.
It won't happen, but it feels like that. It feels like this is going to be a really long season.
It won't happen? Are you sure about that?
If you have a ticket, though, for over 69.5 wins, you might want to not plan on.
Hey, it's only 3 games. Be patient.
Plan
right?
on cashing that. I do hope that a school like Florida Atlantic gets its guys to stick around and they see the value in doing that together and they try to make a second run. I think that's pretty cool. You do worry about those guys getting poached. And this will be a real test of the transfer portal and guys wanting to play at a higher level because ultimately they're getting to play at the highest level in the postseason, but you still got to go through another year as an upper mid-major to get back there. And so we'll see if the whole thing stays together.
Nick Palmer next. Number 1, Catlin Clark is a boss. 2, the Frozen Four is a great event that needs more publicity. And 3, for the first time since I was in middle school, I watched WrestleMania and I loved it.
Do you watch WrestleMania ever?
No.
I'm not a WrestleMania
Can't say
guy.
that. Only if Chad Latz were around would I watch WrestleMania.
Yeah. No, a lot of podcasts I listened to and people I like were really into it, and they were previewing it all week. So naturally, I didn't listen to their podcast.
Bill Simmons?
But there were a few. There were like 3. And there was another media podcast that I listened to, but Bill Simmons got into it, yeah.
I mean, I used to watch like 20 years ago, Stone Cold and The Rock. I mean, that was kind of cool, but I was in my 20s then. And
I agree on the Frozen Four. Like the thing about, and the Frozen Four hasn't happened, but it's just not, and they don't go up against the Final Four. But it does seem like college hockey postseason gets lost outside of a very niche thing, and it is a niche sport. And I just wonder if there isn't a better way to do that. And I think there is some campus site regionals, some things that can be done, but it does feel like it gets lost.
Some dude next. Number 1, the way MSU lost the Kansas State game was definitely an opportunity lost for that game. Hoping is one thing, but anyone who thinks it was going to be a cakewalk to a Final Four championship game or title is a complete moron. 2, we need to teach the zipper method in driver's training or high school or some shit. 3, can we start breaking our basketball players' feet now so they'll be ready when the season starts next year? And bonus, find yourself someone that loves you as much as Kim Mulkey loves Kim Mulkey.
She does seem to love herself quite a bit.
But don't you think people, if you don't watch women's college basketball and you tuned it on and you looked at Kim Mulkey, you definitely judged her, right?
100%.
Right.
And I mean,
so you can do that. She's probably maybe a nice, absolutely nice lady.
She's an older version of Cruella, is what she is from 101 Dalmatians.
That's a good reference. It's rock solid. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Is that it? Plus size softball dad. Number 1, my daughter had her first school softball tryout last week. It didn't go the way she planned. My hot take is this. If you are on the fence about having children, don't do it. There's no worse feeling than seeing your child's heart broken and their dreams crushed.
Oh, that got serious real quick.
2, nice article about the new women's basketball coach. Spartan fans know more about her 24 hours after her hire than they do about Coach Show, who has completed half a season. 3, I realize any softball articles would have less readers than offensive line stories. I actually can't imagine a Spartan team that moves the needle less.
I'd argue against that. I'd argue there are way too many offensive line stories because I've seen the readership on them, and it is what it is. But to your point, I will do I'm planning to do a women's softball feature coming up. The problem with college softball is this. It just starts at the wrong time. It starts in like February. Nobody cares about it in February, and you have to meet your audience where they are. They care about college basketball and hockey then, and just because softball begins too soon, before it's natural, before it should begin, the softball season truly begins in April. That's when people start to, and it sucks that it's 2/3 through the season, and you find out is the team you care about any good or not. But for most casual fans, that's where it begins. You're not going to write a feature on the softball coach in the middle of February. You're just not going to do it. And so I do have one planned, and I think it's a good, there's a good story there to be told, an important one. But no question that it's not quite as big as look. Women's basketball is also just a bigger sport. Which you said you understand.
Couch on fire next. Number 1, refs are ass in both the men's and women's game. 2, the women's Final Four has been more interesting than the men's. Actual stars and storylines. 3, Tigers. Another year of watching Miggy move up to the all-time lists and the only reason to watch any of it. What is that lineup?
At this point, I'm done with Miggy, too. Like, he didn't come back even. Usually, at least we could lie to ourselves he was the best shape of his life. And then he passed.
Say he's the worst shape of his life.
Yeah, and he broke every record last year. Now it's just time. And I wish they would. And I don't know that he makes it through this year, to be honest. I think at some point you say.
Why? He's probably having a blast.
Yeah,
just gets up and DHs here and there and just hits a single and a double play. And
God,
what a life.
It's rough.
Clint, one ball Baney next. Number 1, I'm going to miss not seeing Hunter Dickinson next year, but he'll be a great addition to IUPUI in Shittsville, Indiana. He sure put the duck into Dickinson. 2, at some point, Mel is going to have some stickiness to his staff. Unless guys are heading out for better pay, you can't have guys leaving for lateral or sub-lateral moves or even not renewing short-term hires. It puts his leadership in question. I probably could have worded Mel's sticky staff differently. And 3, I'm looking forward to the runners back group in the fall.
Running back, close enough.
Running back, fuck it. A one-ball pet peeve. Seeing a Cracker Barrel restaurant north of the Mason-Dixon line. You used to know when you hit Tennessee by seeing your first Cracker Barrel driving down south. Now you know when you're in Battle Creek.
Cracker Barrel's been around. I mean, Cracker Barrel's been around, what? We were teenagers. There's Cracker Barrel in Lansing area, right? I've been to one maybe once, if that, but it's been around, and it's been in, like, Delta Township for freaking ever. I do agree on the Mel Tucker thing. Like, you do have to have continuity, but you don't want to lose certain guys, but a little bit of turnover is okay. It's the core, and it's the guys who matter, and some people would argue there wasn't enough turnover. But you don't want – you're right. You don't want guys leaving just to leave. The flip side of that is if, I think what D'Antonio didn't have was a little bit of fresh blood here and there sometimes, and sometimes a different recruiter, a different guy, a different voice in a position group, a guy who knows a different region better and has different connections can be helpful. So as long as it's within reason.
Neurotic pants up next. Number 1, okay, antipathy and contrarianisms. Fuck it. Washed away like the stains they are. MSU athletics are on the move and not complacent. See gymnastics, hockey, women's hoops, men's hoops, Tuck trying to come, women's soccer. Am I missing anything? 2, being middle-aged means getting fat, bald, pissing all the time, and growing hair all over like those scary Greek men at the swimming pool. And 3, there are no such things as cheap football, hockey, or hoops tickets because there are always tacked-on fees, parking and transportation costs, and $8 Melting Moments ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah, I mean, going to a game is beyond the ticket price. And a lot of these events do price themselves out of what you can do with a family. And I think that's one of the things that Michigan State does well with, like, hockey and women's basketball, especially, and some of the other events, volleyball and gymnastics and stuff. Like, you can go to a hockey game with family of 4 for like $60 and get 4 tickets and 4 Melting Moment ice cream sandwiches for that. And that's not a bad deal. Like, there aren't a lot of sports you can still do that for that price. There are probably a few fees. It's probably more like 80, and I'm missing something. Maybe there's some parking. But it's a little more reasonable than it is for a lot of things. And you're right. There is a lot of stuff that's happening with MSU athletics that's interesting and I think invigorating. What's happening with gymnastics, the hockey hires, women's basketball, women's soccer, a lot of coaches of the similar sort of age and energy on the rise that seem to be, and there's some good things happening there.
I take it this is Cucker Tarlson.
It's not Tucker Carlson.
Tucker.
By the way,
autocorrect you?
Not only it autocorrects me every time, and I usually catch it every time. I have to, and usually I have to write like 3 times. Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah.
All right, here's Cucker. Number 1, pet peeve: when people say I could care less. 2, hey, Mr. Neurotic, where did your pants go, and why are you no longer a Mister? And 3, April Fools on Twitter is terrible.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't care less. Yeah, it's I could care less is one of those things where you.
I could care less, man.
Yeah, right. It's one of those sayings that everybody knows what you meant, but I understand why it drives you nuts.
Tyrone Couch. Number 1, Mel Tucker could still outlift half the team. 2, everyone who posted Dickinson to MSU jokes should be forced to go to every Michigan home game with Johnny Spirit handcuffed to them. 3, Chick-fil-A intentionally makes their parking lots the way they do to test your Christianity. It is like the first step of the pearly gates, and every one of us fail.
I do like Chick-fil-A, but
do you wait in line though?
It's not bad. I mean, it's never been
What's
a bad
the
line
longest that you would wait
for
Chick-fil-A? Like if I told you it was 45 minutes.
No, I wouldn't lay 5. I wouldn't lay 10, maybe 10 tops. And it would have to make more sense for me to stay there than go to a nearby place. The worst thing I once did, my wife does not forgive me for this period. Like this nearly ended our marriage. She wanted Popeyes, and she loves Popeyes. And it was back when Popeyes was really new to Lansing, and the fucking line in the drive-thru was around this. So I'm there, and I have the order, and I'm like, I bet you I can do this same order at KFC, kitty corner to here. And I came home with KFC. She did not eat it, number one. And she was, to this day,
Wait, you didn't even ask her?
No, I just did it.
Oh.
It was bad. Oh, it's one of the worst.
Dude, there's nothing worse than when you're expecting something and you come home with something else without even oh, boy.
Yeah, to this day, we drive by KFC. She brings it up every time. She's like, too soon. This is like it's the worst thing you've ever done.
Every time she brings it up.
Oh, it's not great.
Marriage is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's the best.
Joshua next. Number 1, MSU hired Freilich for her ability to navigate sucker punches in the handshake line. Juwan Howard won't be punching anyone now. 2, UConn had the easiest path to the championship game. Beating 2 overrated WCC teams is not an accomplishment. And 3, WWE trying to legalize gambling on their current other scripted events has got to be a joke, right? What's next? Betting the total on the next Air Bud movie? I'm good with gambling, but this is ridiculous.
So what he's talking about with Robin Freilich is her Bowling Green team. Was it against Memphis?
Oh, is that the team?
Yeah, the handshake line in the WNIT, or I think it was Memphis.
Isn't that?
Let me get this right.
That woman got arrested.
Hold on.
Oh, wrong one.
Free Ubers.
Yeah, Memphis player strike Bowling Green in the handshake line. Yeah, I'll make sure I got that right. Jamira Schutz punched a Bowling Green player. That's not a great thing to do, is punch somebody in the handshake line. If you can avoid it, avoid it.
Hans Jurgen, number 1. I saw a guy flopping around in a windstorm on a bike. I should have videotaped it and posted it for everyone's amusement. 2, I refuse to bet on Major League Baseball. 3, Ted Lasso should go on until it jumps the shark. And bonus, the football staff changes are great. We sucked 2 out of the last 3 years. Somehow we've beaten Go Blow 2 out of 3. So imagine us when we have our act together.
Ted Lasso is an outstanding show. I do not want it to jump the shark. I think this might be the last season. And the one thing I love about Ted Lasso, and I'm counting on, is I love happy endings. And not like, yeah, right. Oh, shit.
Hawaii Spa.
Fix that in post. But you can count on it like a good Hallmark movie. If Ted Lasso does not deliver a happy ending, then I don't know where this show is. I mean, the whole thing is happiness. That's the show. There are tough moments in the show, but you know it's got to lead to happiness for him. And most of the key characters.
It can ruin your favorite show if it jumps the shark. I like it if it just goes out on top. And
yes.
The Sopranos was very, very close on. I mean, it was a great series overall, but there was like a stinker season with a Kevin Finnerty BS, and then like the last episode.
And a great last episode is like the last episode of The Wire, where it just sort of continues and it's depressing and is what it is, was I think really important for that show. But that show is different than Ted Lasso. Like Ted Lasso,
just
like
a little.
The end of Succession needs to be different than the end of Ted Lasso.
Jake Hawkins next. Number 1, impressive win and money shot from the San Diego State to beat Florida Atlantic. Talk about one shining moment. Too bad they probably don't stand a chance against UConn. Still should have been MSU in that national championship slot Monday. 2, welcome home, Coach Freilich. Seems like another good home run hire for MSU AD Alan Haller. I'm fascinated what Freilich can and will do with MSU women's basketball team. Hopefully turn into a possible contender so they can be where Catlin Clark and Iowa are today, playing for a natty. 3, so the Major League Baseball rules have changed to make the games go quicker. I haven't seen it yet because I prefer going to baseball games than watching them on TV. I'll probably notice it when I decide what next ballpark I want to hit up and wonder how I'll feel about being at a game for less time. Hawk, it'll be great. Trust me.
It
doesn't take that much time off the clock. I mean,
if you want to go earlier. I mean, that's the one thing I do think we're going to have to adjust to that. Like, if you want to spend, like, if you're driving 2 hours to Detroit or something, and you want to,
but 4-hour baseball games are I'm sorry, they're ass.
Yeah, and just you want to go early, get a beer, get a meal, watch batting practice. You can do that. So you can still make it your day if you really want to make your day. By the way, I'm really hoping now, and I don't think it is, but I just realized this Muskox email I got for the cutoff was on April 1st. Like, if that's not a fucking thing that's real, I'll be pissed off at Muskox. Like, we just went through this. Don't fuck with us. I'm pretty sure you can get a Muskox, but
promo code.
There you go. Caw 15.
Yeah. Wait, so you're saying it's not even a thing?
It's got to be.
Is it on their
thing.
website?
It's an email they sent it to me.
I understand, but that could be a joke.
There's no joke.
Well, that's the ultimate April Fool's then. See, now that's an April Fool's I can stand behind. If so that's real.
Hold on. I think it's real. It's good. Yeah, it's good.
You sure?
Oh, no, it's not. Oh, fuck you. Muskox. I clicked on it. April Fool's. Sorry for there's no cutoff. I will cut your sleeves off if you order one and want the sleeve. Muskox, they're going to listen to this and laugh their asses off at me.
Dude, you really thought people wanted to
I didn't want to cut off one, but they had
like
one.
A bro?
It looks rugged.
Just rip them off myself,
Son
bro.
of a goat. This is the worst.
Ship those sleeves. I do it myself.
I will. This is the worst.
The best part is it's at the end of the show, man.
I know. No. So many people are going to don't order the cut. They did so.
Bravo. Now, see, there we go. April Fool's joke I enjoy.
That is a good April Fool's joke. That's how you do it. You have to do it so it's believable, because this whole thing is believable till you click on the website and scroll all the way down. You can get their whole spring collection at gomuskox.com/spring.
We got to get you one and cut the sleeves off now. Gonna rock that.
That's they look jagged too. I was like, what
wait, didn't he take a picture with one on?
Yeah, I mean, he just cut the sleeves off is what he did. I will cut your sleeves off if you want.
When you own the company, you can cut the sleeves off. I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's.
Oh man,
that's the worst.
Sorry, Upper Deck Jerk Guy. It's gonna trump whatever you got coming up. That was great. All right, Jerk Guy number 1. Izzo should bring in Dickinson. 2. Get past Kansas State and MSU is in the finals. And 3, we should start a GoFundMe to buy Bally Sports so people can actually get it.
Do people not get Bally Sports? I don't know.
Some people, they can't, right? If you're out of state or...
I do think...
You can't get the MLB package.
What?
You can get the Tigers if you're out of state. I don't know. Bally's from top to bottom is ass anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're out of state, you should be able to get the Tigers in the MLB package. But, it's not a great setup overall. I do think Michigan State, if they got past Kansas State, would have been in the final, and I think that's just the tough deal. But I also think that it's not going to be one of the great what ifs of all time. We appreciate everybody, including Muskox and their April Fool's joke that you guys are going to enjoy throughout the show. We appreciate Skyman, which hopefully you're on if you're listening to this show. We also appreciate Hopcat and Midtown Brewing Company. And all of you, of course. We'll be back middle of the week with another show. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.